hold on, real quick. Listen, this is the Gray Area Podcast.
Let's
Let's go.
go.
And we got a very special guest, Uncle Fester.
Yo, what's good?
What's good, bro?
What's
Appreciate
goody?
you stopping by, man.
Oh
Real
man,
talk.
yo, happy to be here, man. This is dope.
First and foremost, man, how was your holidays? How was your New Year? Hope everything was all right.
Yeah, man, it was good, man. It was, for me and my girl, it was a time to just kind of like lay low and rest, see some fam, and just kind of like use, because everyone kind of goes quiet over that time, right? So like I think you got to take advantage of that, which I was able to. So I'm blessed. I was lucky to be able to do that. So
No, I agree with that for sure. The holidays are a rough time for a lot of people for a lot of different reasons.
no doubt, man.
And it's good that when you do have a support system, it's important to spend those days, spend that time, that quality time with them, and then get back to work. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt.
Sure.
But yeah, bro. So for our fan base who might not know you, just introduce yourself. Let them know what you do, and then I'll ask you a couple little introductory questions.
Dope. Yo, yeah, my name's Uncle Fester, DJ Uncle Fester. I'm a producer, DJ, engineer from Nova Scotia, Canada. I'm kind of like a longtime OG of the Canadian hip hop scene, especially on the East Coast. I used to be in a group called The Extremities and tour around a lot with them, and also play with lots of tour acts that come to Canada, like Ghostface and Raekwon, like DJ for them, and like Mocha Only, R.A. the Rugged Man, things like that. So I've just been like kind of a Canadian dude doing it in the indie hip hop scene for a long time, and I've been producing records for MCs, and last couple of years been trying to push myself, sort of beyond that Canadian border, to the States and beyond, and just sort of get my name known as a producer more. Yeah, man. So just like that's really where I'm at these days.
For sure, that's dope, bro. And you know what I love about
That
this
is dope.
show? It's like, so I know you from the projects that you've done with dudes that I'm familiar with, right?
Exactly.
To have you on the show and to find out that it's an iceberg, bro. It's so much deeper than just that. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I love about the show and the platform. But no, for
And you said
sure,
you're from
bro.
Nova Scotia, you said, right?
Yeah. The East Coast of Canada. Yep.
Yo, salute to you, man. We got people out there, so it's definitely a spot we trying to build to and go out to, man. So yeah, hip hop is alive over there in Nova Scotia. Let's go.
That's a
man.
fact.
Yeah, man. No doubt. We've had sort of like a secret, like the city's like big for artists in general here. Like it's a real like blue collar artist city. Like it's got one of the biggest art universities in North America here. So like lots of artists and musicians flock here. So it's kind of got like a low key creative vibe always here. So we kind of like punch above our weight.
No, that's dope. So it's like the city influences creatives.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right.
No doubt. Yeah.
All right. So let me ask you this. This is usually a question that I ask most people. What was the first influence from hip hop for you? What was the first, the first little thing? It might have been a TV commercial, a song, a movie. I don't know. What was the first influence for you that turned your head and you were like, yeah.
It was a compilation on cassette that I got. That like my parents actually got me. It was called Rap Tracks 2, I think it was. It was like a series of it might have been a Canadian series. I'm not sure because sometimes people don't know what I'm talking about. Like even like heads who know about that sort of stuff.
Right.
But it had like like De La Soul, LL Cool J, and stuff like that on it. It was like it was when I was like pretty young. Yeah, that cassette like sticks out to me, and I remember listening to that and like yeah, that's like kind of my earliest memory. I remember actually being in the car and my parents were like, "Oh, we can put your tape in if we want." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And they put the tape in and it was like Buffalo Stance by Nina Cherry. And like for me, like I didn't even care about that song, but the song's like about prostitution, right? So like my parents were like, "What the hell's going on here? Like what did we buy our child, right?" And I was like, "No. Like
Let it rock.
like just like put the De La Soul song on. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm trying. Like I don't even care about this song. Like we can erase this song, whatever.
Right.
Like, you know what I
Right.
mean? So, but that's like the early memory for me of being like hearing all those different people and being like, oh, this is really really dope. Like that. So that's like a pretty early on one actually.
Right. All right. So you're a producer and a DJ. What came first?
Oh, DJing.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. I came up kind of I came up as a DJ, just started at the tail end of the 90s, early 2000s. That's when I was really sort of like putting in my earliest years as a DJ. And I
Right.
came up under a lot of like dope 90s DJs from around here. So I came up under Vinyl first as a hip hop DJ, both like digging for samples and DJing and looking for breaks and DJing hip hop records and that kind of
So
thing. And then transitioned into like the Serato era and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, DJing was first, man, and it was like me and records, like so, like that's what kind of set off the obsession for me.
So for you, all right. So I'll just pretense this, but I sat with the Creasy project that you just
Hmm.
did,
Hmm.
and I listened to the cuts that you sent me today.
Hmm.
You have okay, I'll say this. You have your own sound, first of all. You've managed to carve out your own sound, and your sound is very cinematic. How do you go about digging through the crates? Like, what is your method? Because I know it's different for everybody.
Oh man, I think it's for me. It's feel, man. Like it's like I got it. Like it has to hit me like to the point where like some days some things that don't sound like things I would want to flip or use or work with or chop up or whatever. Like some other day I hear them and I'm like, why did I not use this before? Like
Right.
what was I thinking? So like I think it's like in the a lot of the time it's in the moment, like and over the years of course you develop like little like tricks and little little sounds of your own, little patterns and things that develop your own identity. So like that kind of becomes part of your like overall sort of like a bag of tricks, you know what I mean, or utility belt as a producer. So you kind of always are incorporating that stuff, which helps like kind of create your own sound. But for me, man, it's like the samples. Like that's like the love for me is like I feel it, and I can hear when I hear something, I can hear how I'm going to use it right away, and that's to me how like it's just kind of pulling that idea out of my head and doing it on the sampler or whatever, right? So it's really like it's become over the years like an intuitive thing, just like hearing the samples. And honestly, man, to the point when I used to be in this group called the Extremities, which was me and this other producer called Fresh Kills from Toronto. For people that know him, he's like a live MPC producer. He's really like dope, like kind of like a Jay Black type guy where he's
Like
really
almost
good.
Arab music, kind of.
Yeah, exactly, that type of thing. And he
Got you.
he, he kind of came up in the same era as Arab too. He's an early on guy, won lots of big battles all over Canada and the world. But him and I were like a producer duo, and one of my things early on was like I just for some reason have always had the ability to like pick the right sample at the right time for some reason, like. Even to the point where, like, where you're flipping something and we're like, oh, we need a horn now. Like, I've always been able to go to the stack of records and pull something out and drop the needle in and like find it like right away. And I don't know, like it's just I guess that's just experience with records and knowing the music and stuff like that. And just like because I'm such a fan of it and such a I always been in love with it and obsessed with it. So but yeah, like so it's always been the sample for me, man.
So,
that's
would
dope.
you say that the DJ foundation may have given you a leg up when it came to producing because you've been dealing with records and for so long?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's like it has overall definitely has. It kind of because of because I was focused on DJing earlier on, and I was in a production duo for a long time, and like I'm an engineer and stuff like that as well. Producing it was a longer road to get there, to have that advantage take place,
For sure.
to be the producer I want to be. But eventually it definitely did. You know what I mean? Like it's influenced it since day one. So.
Right. So let me ask you this. What was the hip hop scene like early on where you're from? Did you get to witness like it really explode or was it
Yes.
already okay, yeah, tell me about that.
Yeah, yeah, man. I'm really lucky that way because here, like in the Canadian scene overall and in the North American scene, from what I've experienced over the years, like Halifax has a really strong local scene. So we had some guys here early on in the 80s and early 90s who were connected to what was going on in New York and like were bringing tapes here and doing radio shows and they had like the right type of turntables and samplers and like were recording MCs and so like that influence like was happening here. Like we're not too far from New York, so we get a lot of the same TV. Like there's like there's a super huge black community here. It was the end of the Underground Railroad
Mm,
was here in Halifax.
really?
Yeah, yeah. So like
Wow. That's
um
super interesting.
so yeah, like there's just a
You don't
ton
learn
of
that in school, real quick, brother.
You
You don't learn
don't
that in
learn that in
school.
yeah.
school.
Well,
That Underground Railroad went up to through to Canada. Come on.
yeah, yeah, and like but Halifax was the end of the line and like when KRS-One came here and played and learned that, he came back for a couple days just to like hang out in the community here and learn from the old families and stuff like that. And because he was blown away that this history had happened here, and he was like you guys, he was like, what? How? Like, no, we don't. Why don't we know about this?
Yo, seriously.
So
Wow.
like we always like, like an anecdote I give is like, like we got no other part of Canada got BET for free on basic cable, but we got BET for free because of the community here. And I feel so lucky because of that, because I was watching 3 hours of Rhapsody every day through the '90s. So like, like my exposure to hip
Wow.
hop was high compared to some other Canadians. There's so much rural, plus there's so much rural space up here that people don't, like I was reading the source and was on the internet as soon as the internet started and was watching BT, like I said, 3 hours of Rhapsody a day, plus the rap programs that we had up here too. So I was really exposed. And like I said, the local scene, like you asked, like we were lucky. There was this one guy, I'll give this quick story about a guy who definitely deserves a shout out. His name is DJ Joe Rambombe.
Mm.
Um, and some old school heads might know him now because he's kind of got exposed over the last couple of years, but he was unknown for the longest type of time. But he was doing stuff in the '90s where he would flip a sample and then like on one of his beats, and then like 6 months later, DJ Premier would come out with a beat with the same sample. Like he was like in the step with all of these same producers at the same time, and like on par, like super dope DJ Cutter too. Like, it was like a mentor to everyone from here. And when DJ Scratch Bastard became this really worldwide #1 hip hop DJ, he's from Halifax, and he really preached the gospel of Joe. And then Jazzy Jeff and Questlove and all these guys became aware of Joe, and now like Joe kind of works behind the scenes with those guys and like gets invited out, and it's like sort of been able to like
Wow.
connect with his peers that he did. Because like when Joe went down to Jazzy Jeff's retreat for producers and DJs and stuff, like they basically were like, "Where have you been? Like what? Like where have you been? Like why have you been hiding up there?" Like I remember Joe coming back and telling us and like showing us the video and talking to us about like sitting around a table with like Lord Finesse and Young Guru and DJ Newmark and Jazzy Jeff and all those dudes asking him about Halifax hip hop. So like he is like the guy that has like he's like the guy I got to shout out, right? Like he's one of my mentors, and was one of the dudes who made sure that we had like a scene here really long before we really should have for the size of the city. Like, and it was strong. So I'm lucky that way, man.
I can appreciate so many external factors that came together. Like, okay, so the Underground Railroad ended there, right?
Mhm.
So many people were transported up there. Had that not been for the community, you have access to BET. Like all of this stuff is just like it's this is destiny. I'm listening to you describe, certain destiny, and it's crazy, bro.
Yeah,
I
well,
can appreciate that.
it was bound to influence the way the scene was here, right, and the culture was here.
Right, for sure. For sure. All right, I have another question. It's usually a question I say for producers slash DJs. What what was two-part question. What was your first piece of equipment that opened things up for you? And then after you answer that, we'll get into the second part.
Um, I'm gonna go with the producing perspective because, like, from DJing, it's obvious, when you get your turntables
Turntables,
and
right, right,
mixer or
right.
whatever, right? Um, it was this old Roland sampler. I forget what it was. You had to buy like the sampler and the drum machine and link them together in order to like get them to sync up and stuff.
Hmm,
Yeah, because like I said, I came up under dudes who had samplers, and we couldn't afford an SP12 at the time.
right.
We're just like broke dudes living in an apartment trying to trying to make music. But yeah, so like we got this Roland joint together. So like that was the one that kind of like opened it up, right? And then I'll use this. I have a second one actually because years later, about 7 years ago, I guess I got a MPC Renaissance, and that was like another different like later in my life opening up where it sort of like changed the things for me a little bit too because it was like a hybrid between digital and outboard. And since I learned on sort of like old outboard analog samplers and then I transitioned to like computers, this was such a hybrid of the two that when I started using it, it was just like I don't know, man. Like I was like one with the machine or whatever. Not to be like corny or cliche about it,
Oh,
but
I hear you.
it was just like that. It was like it clicked with me on another level. Plus, I was fresh out of that production duo, so it was like my time to go solo. So it was like those two things combined. But yeah, those two pieces of gear, man. Roland sampler, that old Roland joint. It came with like the Boss 808 was the drum machine, but I forget what the sampler was, and then the MPC Renaissance.
That's dope. What is your go-to piece of equipment now? 2024.
Oh, my Renaissance still is,
Still.
yeah, like it's that thing's, I got different pieces of gear I use, but that's still like the centerpiece in terms of my production. And for recording, I'll give another one just to vary it up. There's this for engineers out there who want to record hip hop, I'm going to give you some secret sauce right now.
Hmm.
If you want to record hip hop vocals, there's an old. It's not in. You have to find it used, and we've been buying them. Me and my peeps have been buying them up over the years. But it's called Voice Master Pro. It's by Focusrite. It's Focusrite Platinum, I think it's called, the Voice Master Pro, and it's like a vocal strip for recording. It's got like compressor, and it's got a tube in it, and like all the different settings, saturation and whatever, all the nerdy engineering stuff. But I'll tell you, man, if you know how to use that thing right, and you can dial in the settings on it, you can get the illest sounding hip hop vocals through that thing. It's such a cheat code if you're recording, man, and you home recording or something like that, for people that do home recording and stuff like that. Like, just get on that thing and figure it out. If you can find one of those things, that'll be like my cheat code for like hip hop engineers and stuff like that. Like, I'll tell you, man, like for real, like I got so many people, so many peeps in my crews and people I know that are engineers. Like, I can think of 5 people over the years who have, at least, who have heard this thing and instantly gone and got one.
That's dope.
But harder to find these days.
Right now, I hear you. I hear you. I want you to talk a little bit more about your relationship with Creasy, because
Yeah,
I listened to the Supervillain tape, and yeah, man, from the artwork to every song, and just the production, the samples, the little cuts in between, like, yeah, man, explain that to me.
yeah, man. Well, like you guys said earlier about, like, like when someone comes on and you sort of like get the tip of the iceberg, because you know my work from someone, and you see sort of like the expanded catalog beyond that. Like,
Right.
if people see my catalog from, like, maybe 2020 and before, um, like, I probably didn't have a record with an MC like Creasy. Like, I didn't have a lot of, like, I had a lot of, like, working with like a lot of backpack MCs, underground MCs, but I really hadn't worked with like a true dope street MC like Creasy.
Right.
Um, and me, like, I love all, like, every type of hip hop. So when Creasy and I met through AP, the Overlord, because
Shout out AP.
I was working with AP at the time on our Grim Day record, and him and Creasy are boys, and said to Creasy, like, Creasy had heard some stuff and was like, "Yo, this guy, I like the beats," and he was like, "I'll link you." And Creasy hit me up and was like, "Hey, man, would you be interested in throwing me a pack of beats or whatever?" And I was like, "Yes." When he hit me up right away, I was like, "Yeah, man, this could be dope." And I hit him up with a pack, and he hit me up right away and was like, "Yo, I love all of these. Like, you want to do a whole record?" So we basically have formed a friendship over our first record together, and it was really dope, man, because Creasy and I actually became like legitimate friends, and the creative chemistry really started to like click quickly, and I was able to be more than a beat maker and like produce him in the way that he was recording his vocals, and
Right.
how he was doing some things. And, like, yeah, like you said, like the whole concepts for he was able to give me the concepts for the records that he was thinking about, and I was able to sort of like you were saying, come up with my audio concepts in terms of like the interludes, and like how to like sort of transition the tracks together and arrange things, and have my influence in there with the cuts and stuff like that, which is something that Creasy loves too, which is so like he made it so easy for me. That's why we get along so well, is that like he was able to tell me his ideas, and I was to be able to incorporate mine, and it just clicked so easily, and we're able to just build off that.
You can really hear it. I'm a firm believer that, when an artist and a producer link, and the chemistry is like, it's synergy, you can hear it, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And it only gets better, like you were saying, it only gets better with time, especially when the relationships are outside of the internet. Now, don't get me wrong, I've made classic albums with dudes I've never met, you know what I'm
Yep.
saying, or songs, but
Yep.
I think it's a big thing when the relationship is outside of the internet as well. Like, even if it's
Yeah.
just talking on the phone, you know
Yeah.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Yeah, there's
Yeah.
something to say about that, for sure.
Absolutely, man. Like, and that's something that Crazy and I both believe in a lot too. Like, we talk to each other about our families, and like about
Right.
like our wives, and like life. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like it does go beyond that. And there is, like, and even though he's in Niagara, Buffalo, and up here in Canada. Like he's close to Toronto, and I have a lot of people in Toronto, and we have mutual people that we know. In fact, so there's gonna be a future of him and I doing shows in that area, and like
Dope.
getting together to record future albums in studios in Toronto and stuff like that. So because that is important to us, man. I think that that's like that. That's the way that like you said, you can do good stuff across the internet for sure, but it is different. Like it is different in person, and the way you connect with people is different. Um, and I don't think like some artists even realize that how important it is to get out there and do things more in person like that because like that is the way that you kind of can break through the glass ceiling as an indie artist because you meet people and you network and they remember you, and if you have a good relationship with them, and that's why it's important, they'll think of you when it's time to like, oh, like Fess has got beats, or Fess can DJ, or
For
whatever it is,
sure.
whatever it is that is that door that you can walk through, that hole that you can fill, that like that with that opportunity that you can take, like that's what it's about, right? It's about real real relationships with people.
No, most definitely, and I think that is a big byproduct of this podcast that we started because people, whoever knows me, they most likely know me through the music, through what you see on social media, right? And you
Hmm.
obviously have one idea. You don't really know me. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
But when we interview people like you who we don't have a formal background. We don't really know each other, but through
Hmm.
mutual people we got linked, right?
Hmm.
So you might have had a certain idea about me. You know what I'm saying? But when we
Hmm.
sit down and we get to chop it up, I think that's the human interaction that is needed. If it can't be face to face, then something like this is best because now everybody gets to know each other. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I think any intelligent person can't form a real trust of someone until they know them.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
For
So,
sure. So, all right, with that being said, can you speak to how like social media all right, I'm gonna ask you this. How do you feel about social media?
I mean, it's mixed, right? Like, because
Right.
there are definitely things that like Instagram in particular has brought me a lot of opportunities, a lot.
For sure.
It's brought me like opportunities that have led to like financial gains that have helped me and my family. That like you know what I mean? Like there's
Right.
things that like I can't ignore it. But obviously, like I'm saying that because like I don't feel great about it at times, either, right? So I think it's a distraction, and like like I think people understand that it's a distraction, and really the major problem with it is that like algorithms suck for artists. Like I think that's the major thing is that like you have to post a certain way. I did this as an example. I did this thing the last couple years where I do a beat advent on my Instagram, where every day in December, like for like an advent calendar, I do like a new beat or whatever. Like I'll live on my MPC, I like play it, video and audio or whatever, and do a live beat off my MPC.
That's dope.
And you know, some days that video gets 100 likes in a day, and another day, and then like at another time, like, and it can be the same day the next week at the same time or whatever. I don't think that's the issue. Is that the same thing gets like 25 all of a sudden, and then the next,
Right.
and then one in 4 days gets 150. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
it's very very inconsistent, and like unless you have your face there and you're talking, and the words are coming up on the screen, like they really want you to post in specific ways to get. Like you do have to sort of like figure out the game a little bit to get your thing to push through on the algorithm, which to me isn't great, right? Because the problem is you're not seeing people that you're following.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or
That's a
following
good
you.
point.
You know what I mean? Like you're not like that's it's like the issue isn't like like that's the problem with the algorithm is that people that I'm following aren't showing up. Things that I want to see aren't showing up for me. So that's bound to be happening for me to other people too, right? And I know that certain people struggle with the algorithm at times. So I think that that's like for me one of the things that really really sucks about it is like it's a constant uphill battle. I feel like sometimes.
Right. It's extremely volatile. I'll agree with that.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's also like for me, like we're adults, man. We can kind of, decipher the nonsense and
Yeah.
we for the most part know right from wrong. But I feel like, the kids, the younger generation, they're the ones who are truly affected by it because we
Oh
come from
yeah.
a time where we didn't have it wasn't Facebook when I was growing up. The best thing you had was
Mm.
AIM. We had AIM.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying?
exactly. Yeah, for real.
56K dial-up, you know?
Yeah, for real.
But, yeah, I think the new generation they're the ones who are gonna be the most affected by it because they don't know a world without it. A lot of these kids don't know a world without it,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, you know what, but just on that topic, one thing that gives me like a lot of hope around that, a lot of like inspiration is that like some of the young artists that I work with, like I'm talking like kids, like I talked about that art university, like there's kids that come here who are from that or are part of that community or whatever.
Right.
And all those kids who are like 19, 20 that I've noticed in the last couple of years, they're like rejecting this shit hard.
Really? That's
Ye
good.
yeah, like, I mean, like, I think some of the damage you're talking about is also to, like, kids way younger than that.
Right, for
Um,
sure, for sure.
but, like, in terms of, like, when kids get older and they get to that generation where they get to that sort of, like, to have those thoughts and that mentality and be able to, like, think for themselves that way, like, I notice a lot of those kids are, like, they sort of push back on that stuff a lot. They don't want to be as much a part of that as I think that I think they're starting to see through it as well, or at least feel the negative effects of it and want to get away from it.
Right. Now, do you think that speaks to them being, creators?
I think that that's probably definitely something to do with it. I do see it like in the wider community of people that age, but it definitely starts. I definitely think it starts with creatives and artists.
It's interesting how much information is available with technology. Right? So now it's like as a kid, you can either choose to go with the flow, or you can be cognizant of what's around you. Go, this is kind of crazy. No, I want to go a different way. You know?
Yeah, man. I think I think that's a real big part of it, man. I think that's a real big part of it.
Off topic a little bit, but I was just wondering because I'm about to roll up. What is the weed scene like up there? Like, what's the bud scene like up there?
Oh man, it's been great forever, bro. Um, it's well, I mean, it's legal here now, so it's much different than it used to be. That's for sure.
Right.
But like now up here where I'm at, I can get on my phone and make an order online, and I get a delivery an hour later at my door.
Really now. Pulling
Yeah.
up.
So like like it's as convenient and easy and every day as it possibly could be at this point. Um, but even back in the day, it was good, man. Like I just like we've always sort of like I think there's lots of country here. There's always been like places for people to hide and grow
Right.
lots of weed, even when it was illegal, I guess. But like there's always been good weed up here, so yeah, man. Like it's always been good.
So, indica or sativa for you, which one do you find helps you get into your creative groove better?
Oh man, it's definitely like sativa leaning like hybrid.
Okay.
And indica is cool, but like it'll just I'll be asleep after too
Right.
long.
You'll be done. Couch lock for sure.
Yeah, so like, and I'm not for me, like I need to stay motivated and need to stay moving in order to like move like that. So I want to yeah, I always make sure that I'm like productive at the same time because it does for me it is like something that like is not always part of my creative process, but when it is like I really enjoy that, you know what I mean? And I don't want it to like be something that holds me back, you know what I mean? So
Right. Right.
but yeah, man, sativas yeah, I'm where I'm at usually. Plus, like,
I'll agree with that.
like we're a port city too, right? So we always had like, port cities are notorious for like drugs come through port cities. That's what happens. So
For sure. The hubs. They're the hubs, you know?
yeah.
Nah, most definitely. We got a couple cuts that you sent me.
Mhm.
I'm gonna play a cut while I roll up real quick. Which one would you prefer to hear first?
Shit. Well, we talked about me and Creasy, so why don't we play something by me and Creasy? Why don't we play Third Man? That one's a
For
banger.
sure. For sure. I'm about to load that up right now. All right, here we go. We got Uncle Fester and Creasy. Third Man off the supervillain drop. Let's go.
Hulk Hogan is here! Hulk Hogan's here! Hulk Hogan is in the building! You damn right he is! Don't get it, Hulkster! Yeah, but whose side is he on? Don't, what are you talking about? All fire, nigga. Can't deny the flame, nigga. I've been flamed. It take more to learn when you give game. 10 pounds of sour, that's my twin flame. I want it all, it ain't no end game. Niggas always try to copy what's great. Control C then Control V, that's a copy and paste. If it was beef, then when you see me say the shit to my face. On the internet, you was hyping out what's good. You stick your hand out for the shake. Nigga, fuck that. I'ma put this Mac 10 to your face. Say hello to my little friend, then I see you away. Roses is red, violence is blue. You get flowers while you still here, but what the violence is do? Nigga, environment fluid you, and then you style for a suit. Chop them up, put them in the duffel. This grind got my shit getting played out in Brussels. 26-inch pythons, all for the muscle. You get whiplash, and then get thrown in the turnbuckle. Turnbuckle, nigga. 223, that's a head turner. Fuck 50 man, I got the bigger bag from Ted Turner.
What is he doing? Oh, God! Is he the third man? He's the third man! What the hell is going on here? Hulk Hogan has betrayed WCW. He is the third man. Look at this picture. Oh, my God!
Face the shit, I was the face of it. But niggas lying so weak, I gotta lace the shit. They making up. Speak the truth, I can't fake the shit. You don't supply the product, so I take the split. Couldn't keep up, you niggas called it quits. 8 bars bigger than the hands when you bought your fist, nigga. Fans in the music, only thing that matters. Niggas playing games like shoots and ladders. Took this worldwide, it's kinda hard to fathom. Illest nigga out, and I'm from Niagara. The plug overseas like my nigga Packer. Same dope, but a different logo, this a different package. It's crease, nigga. Where I'm from, niggas pistol packing. Glass pipes, the fiends, they rental rap that shit. They say trapping dead, gas legal in the town, that price sitting on your head. Nigga, I'm all about the bread. Flow smooth like butter when it's spread. I don't know what type of shit these niggas be on. Fucked around, they get peed on. Niggas used to be prime time. Now they about to use a limb like they Dion. Get rid of these rats spray like Decon. Birdman, Herb fam. It's gas on deck. Third man. Shout out to my Highland niggas, man. My Highland Ave niggas. My West Side niggas, man. Side Prophet Lane, what up? My Prophet Lane niggas, man. My East Side niggas, man. Niggas know the vibes, nigga. Niggas know the vibes, nigga. It's the fireman, nigga.
What in the world are you thinking? Mean Gene, the first thing you need to do is to tell these people to shut up if you want to hear what I gotta say.
Fire. Let's go.
Yeah, bless, man.
Let's go.
So take me through the process of you finding that sample and making that beat.
Well, when so Creasy gave me the concept for the record. We had the album before called Still Villain. It had like a shredder theme to it, and he had that concept for like long before he met me. So when we met together for the first album, it was that. So this for the second one, he was like, "Yo, I need to think of a villain, like a bigger villain. If we're gonna do a sequel to that, like in the villain theme." So he said, what do you think about Hogan?" And to me, I thought that was brilliant because, like rappers don't want to be Hogan. Rappers want to be Flair. Rappers want to be Sting. You know what I mean? Like rappers, like whatever. Like Hogan isn't that cool to be. Like he was such a big heel then in wrestling, and in real life, people don't like Hogan, right? Like he's like not cool in real life. So, like to me, I was like, yo, that's dope because like that's a people like. Like that's a real, like, I thought that was like a dope villain. So, and then also if we were going to do the wrestling thing, like we're both legitimately wrestling fans as well. So I knew it would be authentic, but because like wrestling's been done a lot recently in underground rap music, we wanted to make sure that we did it well. You know what I mean? And that it wasn't just like us trying to hop on something. It was like, okay, this is a concept that works for what we're doing. And so like when I was digging in for those samples, like he and I were like watching old episodes and like talking about it. And if you listen to the beginning of the record, like it kind of like happens like Hogan does. He kind of starts off like a good guy in the beginning. And then on this track, it was one of the first tracks on the album, The Third Man. And it's when he turns to the bad guy. So it was, easy. I just went back to the Bash at the Beach when he came out as the Third Man. And just like, there were so many awesome things. So I'm kind of the Mean Gene of the record, so like that's the reason that Mean Gene kind of like I'm always the guy sort of like giving Creasy the platform and giving Hogan the platform to speak, right? Like giving him the mic and sort of being the Mean Gene. So like, that's why I sort of chose the samples I did there.
You into movies? I don't know, but I get the feeling that you're into movies. You a movie
Yeah,
guy?
yeah. Like I'm really specifically into like 80s and 90s movies.
Right.
Just because I came up with it, but I also find that like you can get a lot of like bad good movies from that era. Like movies that are legitimately good, but then also like the bad movies from that era aren't just like bad. You don't want to watch them. They're like bad in a good way. If you know what I mean, like they're kind of like funny and unintentionally, or like some of the action is like so over the top, it's still kind of dope, and like so, like I'm a big fan of that stuff, and I pull a lot of like influence from that.
Right. A movie specifically speaks to me. Return of the Living Dead. I don't know
Yeah.
if anybody know that movie, but
Oh yeah. Yeah.
it's just one of those zombie movies, and it's such a
That shit
cheesy
fire.
80s movie, but it's
Yeah.
fire, bro.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fire.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree with you, man. I totally agree with you. And it's dope, man, because like my wife, she's like big into that too. So we'll be watching something and like I constantly am catching samples while like we're chilling watching stuff, right? Like I'm constantly on the hunt. So like if I'll be like, oh, I guess I gotta like find this soundtrack, or like, oh, I gotta remember that sample's there, or that voice he says this here or whatever. So that's definitely something that influences me when I'm doing stuff.
Right, right. Now, okay, when it comes to technology, it's a plus for things like that because I go through the same thing. Like I'll watch something and maybe that'll be something that I want to take and put in front of a song, or maybe it'll be a little bit of the score that I want to send to a producer he could flip for me. Um, there's something to say about the benefit of technology and having it in the palm of your hand where you can be watching a movie and then just boom, okay, now I'm looking up the soundtrack. Who
Hmm.
produced this? Who's on the violins here? For a producer, it has to be even a deeper level. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So, nah, I can appreciate that for sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
Tell me more about like your biggest hip hop influences. Like, what was the album that, when you were a kid, that one album that changed, you know, like changed your view? I know you told me about the mixtape that your parents bought you, but like,
Yeah,
what
yeah.
was that one specific artist album? Like, who was that artist for you? Because we all had that one
Th-
artist that we latched onto. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah. 36 Chambers.
Mm.
I can remember me walking with my homies and one of my dudes passing me like I think it must have been a cassette player, not a Discman or something at the time, and with 36 Chambers in it, would have been like probably a couple months after it came out or something, and yeah, handed me that to listen to on the headphones, man. I'll never forget that. Never forget like hearing RZA's production and just being like, just wondering what the hell was happening, like what is going on here, like so like that to me was such a huge that was like yeah that was a huge moment that and seeing Large Professor's video Mad Scientist where he has turntables and he's bringing them up on the top of the building and setting them up and he's like making a beat and spinning records and rapping on the rooftop like that to me that blew my mind as like a teenager. I was like what is happening? So like yeah so like 36 Chambers and that to me were like around a time in the mid 90s where I was like just like such a massive influence on me.
Did you get a chance to see Wu Tang live?
Yeah, yeah, I've seen them live and I got to DJ for Ghost and Ray for some
Oh,
dates in Canada.
that's dope. Tell me
Dope,
about
dope.
that. Tell me about that.
Well, it started off at a festival here in Halifax. We have like this big festival called Pop Explosion, and the guy that was running it at the time had got my name as a DJ to trust locally, and he was like, "Yo, they're coming in town. They need a DJ," and they had some dates afterwards too. And I didn't really know that at the time, but um, yeah, they came in and we sort of linked, and their manager sort of sent me their beats. Like I got to the venue and I'm like on the the shitty venue Wi-Fi trying to download their beat catalog. Anyway, that's so like I'm kind of like stressing that this is gonna happen, and like the opening acts are on, and like they come in and I'm backstage, but there's like a further backstage area, and they come in and right away Ghost is like, "Where's the DJ? Who's the DJ?" And I'm like, kind of like over here, and he just grabs me, puts his arm around me, brings back to the other area. We sat down on a coach, me, him, and Ray, and went through their beats and their set, and started like, like they included me in the construction of the set, like
Right.
within 30 seconds of meeting them. which was kind of like for me, like it was like for the first minute, it was really surreal. It was like I was in like a weird movie or dream or something, right? Because I'm like, like I'm a professional DJ. I can hold it down.
Right.
Um, but like I'm there with like these dudes are my heroes, bro. Like, like
Starstruck for sure.
so it was like a minute, which it's just like, wow, okay, here we go. So, but like those dudes are like Ray. Right away, I learned that Ray is like an MC's MC. He loves lyrics. Like when we were putting the set together, Ray was like putting things together. Like he would be remembering lyrics. Like he'd be like, "Oh, this track." He'd be like, "Oh yeah, with da 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 da." Like so, he would get excited about where a track would go in the set based off the rhymes on it. Like
Right.
so like and there was this point when we were putting things together in my Serato where Ghost sort of discovered that I had like all these Motown tracks that were like where the vocals were removed. So it was like all these instrumental and stemmed out versions of Motown tracks that I have.
Hmm.
So he was like losing it. He was like, "Yo, okay." And then he threw these like wild instructions at me, bro. Like you got to understand, like the opening act is done and the crowd is chanting woo woo, like we're late going on, we're putting the set together backstage, and Ghost is asking me to like, yo, take this like, ain't no mountain high enough instrumental and like start it here and then loop it, and then when I drop this rhyme you stop and you scratch into, and then you drop Black Jesus. And I'm like, in my brain I'm like, yo, what the fuck? Like this is, and but I'm like, yep, all right, that's what we're doing, that's what you're
Right.
asking for, that's what we're gonna, and that is what we did. um so but we put together this dope set where we started and like we put a coach out on stage, and we started with Can't Go to Sleep. And I got up on stage, and the manager signaled to me to throw up the W, and I threw up the W, and all of a sudden there's thousands of people throwing the W back up at you. And um everything was dark, and they got on the couch, and I dropped Can't Go to Sleep, and then the spotlight hit Ghost, and away he went, man. And then we were just going, man. We playing the set, and like I think the first track or two, because it was like my heroes in my hometown, it was such an adrenaline rush, you know what I mean? Like, and like I said, I wasn't a new DJ at the time, so it was kind of a different experience to me to be like, yo, I haven't had like this kind of like feeling on stage in a minute. So yeah, but a couple songs in, you get comfortable in a way. Man, I remember when I dropped Wu-Tang Clan, Ain't Nothing to Fuck With, like the feeling when that beat dropped, and with the way the crowd reacted, and being able to drop that track and sort of like sit back and realize the situation you're in. Yeah, it was crazy. And then yeah, the next couple days they had some other dates around the region and stuff. So I got to rock with them, man. And those dudes they're good dudes, man. They took care of me.
That's dope, bro. It's so dope to hear about, the energy, human energy. When there's enough people in the building and we're all on the same page, and it's just, yeah, that's like a Super Bowl highlight reel moment. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
For sure. That's dope, man.
Yeah, yeah, it was
So
good.
good dudes, Ghost and Ray.
Yeah,
And you know what
man.
the funny thing is, man? If I think about it, those are my two favorite. Those are my two
Oh,
favorite, if I
yeah,
think
man.
about
Well, I
it. That
mean,
might be a little controversial.
no, man. Well, man, Built for Cuban Links is an all time record. You know what I mean? It's just starting right from there. Like, yeah, man. So for me, it was crazy, man. And like, like Ghost is like, they're authentic dudes. Ray is quiet and like thoughtful and an intense dude, what you would think. And Ghost is like a goofy, hilarious dude, like straight
Right.
up, man. He's good. He was good people.
All energy.
Yeah.
So speak to me, tell me about like your worst DJing experience. You know what I'm
Oh.
saying?
Wow, that's a good question, man. Okay, I don't know if this is my worst, but I this is what just came to my mind, and it is like a funny bad one. Um, um, I remember one time I was in that group Extremities with my boys, Fresh Kills, and we were touring just as a duo. We would tour with live musicians or MCs as backing certain MCs or certain groups. And it was just the two of us doing like MC DJ, or sorry, DJ sort of live MPC routines and stuff like that. And anyway, we're on tour in the States, and we're on tour with a big beat act in the States called Eraser Face at the time. Was doing stuff with DiBiase on the West Coast and stuff like that. And we're touring around, and it's one of those things where some of the cities we're hitting for the first time. Everyone on the tour is hitting for the first time, and we're playing a lot of dates in a short amount of time, and we're playing Moab, Utah on a Monday night. Moab, for people that don't know, Moab, Utah is like this like resort town. It's like a mountain resort town in Utah. So like people go there to hike and to ski and to go onto the in the summertime they raft and they swim, and in the and then there's in this wintertime there's skiing and hiking and cliffs and mountains and stuff like that. Utah, the wilderness in Utah. Um, and yes, we're in this Moab, Utah on a Monday night, and we get there, and the promoter's nowhere to be found. The bar didn't really know too much about the gig. The promoter, I guess, was like some pizza delivery guy in the town. Like, I don't know what happened at this gig, bro, but it was like there was no opening acts from the local town either playing, and neither of the acts on the tour, us or Racerface, had connections there or played there. So, like, as indie acts going into that scenario, like, I don't know what our booker was thinking, but anyway, we're there. I guess it was just a date along the way, right? It was a date along the way.
They're just connecting the dates together.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can
So
stop here and for
like
real.
like that's the thing about an indie act. Like we had some dates on that tour that were huge successes, but this one we go into this one, so like we're in for a night where like if anyone's there, we're happy, man. Like it's like a disaster, and so I remember me and Kills are performing, and there was probably only about 20 people there, and a lot of them basically because it's a Monday night, they're industry workers and they're out on their weekend.
Right.
Right, so it's like it's a dude who owned a tattoo shop and like all these other bar staff from other places who aren't working, right? So like the people there were actually it was cool, whatever, but it was real small. It was kind of like a brutal night. Um, like we're used to touring and getting like 70 to 100 and like doing a little bit of merch, and you know what I mean. So like when you're trying to survive and get town to town on gas a night like this, once in a while it's not a big deal, but it does kind of hurt sometimes. You're like you got to get the motivation and you got to like be like because you got to play for one people as hard as you play for 100. That's like how I firmly believe if you're a performer and you're performing live. So you got to get up for these 20 people. You know what I mean? But I remember playing and like we were opening that night because there was not a lot of openers and Eraserface was the bigger act. So we were opening and we were kind of like trying to pull people into what we were doing that were there. And I remember it was real tough. And we're playing, and this one like tweaker that was with the group that was there in the audience, it was like he was like dressed like one of them old school rave kids, if you can picture what I'm talking about. And he tried to do some sort of back handspring across the dance floor, and he landed on his head in the way that like only could have been a spinal injury, bro. Like,
oh my god,
it was and it was just this moment where I was like, what is like this? I was like, this is it. They got like his friends got him out of there. I remember seeing flashing lights later on in the gig from outside. Like he clearly was hurt. Like, and I just remember thinking like, man, like this is one of those moments where you got to like remember, like, you got to take your lumps sometimes, you got to pay your dues. You got to like have these moments where like you're on stage and it's a struggle and like things happen and you're in situations where it's just like you're just glad they're not all like that.
What? So for those who don't know, any new listeners, I'm MOD Mugs on Drugs. My co-host is Guru Dane. We formed the group ROT, Revenge of the Truants.
Mm-hmm.
I say that to say that I can attest to what you're saying when it comes to going to a venue and it just being a shit night. Now, for because you were part of a travel, like a producer team, right? You were a producer duo.
Yeah. For a long time, we would back sort of like Canadian acts that were known, and we'd travel across Canada. And then eventually, we got kind of known for being a duo, so we could do like we had like DJ producer routines and like and we would tour with acts in the States that we knew, and we would tour around North America and stuff like that.
Right. So my question was, I smoke too much weed, bro. Oh my days. My question was, can you speak to? So I can speak to like as an MC, us showing up to shows and promoters overbooking. You know what I'm saying? So it's a slate, like, there's always been, I guess, a pay to play kind of little scheme thing when it comes to the lower end shows.
Oh, yeah.
So you give them however much you give them for your little 15, 10 minutes. And when you get there, it's fucking 20 acts for 3 hours. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So tell me about your experiences with that.
Well, I mean, that exists everywhere, bro. Like you hit the nail on the head there, man. Like that's real. That's like,
right.
And like there's bad types of shows and promoters there's all different types, and they're all over the place. And you see your share as an indie artist. For me, like once we got a little bit of cred and got our legs underneath us, it was like, okay, now I'm not participating in this nonsense, like
Right, for sure.
like you can book me as a headliner and you can pay me or whatever, or you can book me as like like a secondary headliner or what, like because I could work my way into the Canadian and local scene where I could kind of like I'm definitely not doing no pay to play stuff. You know what I mean? Like
Right,
you know what I mean? Like I can find a venue myself and book myself and get, 20, 30 people in there off my own promotion
for sure.
just on bare minimum. You know what I mean? So like to me, like that's just predatory, like on like that's turning the artist into a customer, right? Like, and I don't necessarily believe in that. I just don't find like that those schemes ever worked well for anyone except for the promoter.
No, yeah, for sure. And they
um,
get you with the opening. You mentioned it. They get you with the opening act. You know what I'm saying? They say, "Oh yeah,
yeah,
well, you're opening for this person, ba ba
yeah,
ba, so and so." You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
exactly.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, it's like, and you get lost in that sea of artists. No one's there to see them. No one pays attention to them. You know what I mean? So like, if they're there, if like Mobb Deep's coming through town, and then like the biggest local act is the real actual opener,
Right.
and then you've got a sea of other people, right? Like, you know what I mean? So like it's just, and also too on small indie shows where there's not like a big outside act, but maybe a bigger local act, or like a mid national act or a bigger national act or something like that, where people they just like they book the bill like with a million people, like you just like
Right.
you lose an audience like that.
No, for
And
sure.
and or even sometimes I've experienced where like experiences like that, not the same as that Moab one, but we're like, we're on a tour and there's markets on a tour where our album or our single has done well on college radio. We know the other acts there, we have fans there. So we do good on those dates. Or you go into a town sometimes and you're playing with a real strong local act and you don't have no one there really knows you, but you're with a real strong local act. So that's dope. But they put you as the headliner and them as the opener, and then they get done and their crowd leaves.
Right.
You
I
know what I
was
mean?
just
So
gonna
like there's
mention
just
that.
there's just different ways that promoters kind of don't understand how things work sometimes, you know what I mean? Like or like you just said before, are predatory. So there's all types of like bad booking decisions along the way, you know what I mean?
Right. And that, I mean, for me, I feel like you said, you get to a certain point where you're just not going to partake in the nonsense anymore. So it doesn't pertain to us. You know what I'm saying? But it's just, yeah, I remember going through it. I remember our very first show. We were downtown Manhattan. And yeah, we show up, and before you know it, it's fucking almost 1 o'clock in the morning and the club's shutting down, and there's still 5 people who haven't gone on.
Yeah,
And
yeah, for real.
you know, it's just madness. I remember another time we participated in this battle of the bands. And I mean, come to think of it, it was just janky from the start. But listen, we were outside and we were trying to get our name up. So we show up there, and it's 2 girls at the front door, and they take the fee. Ba ba ba. They taking everybody's money, whatever. We go up, right? We do our thing. We killed it. It wasn't too many people. There wasn't too many people there. It wasn't too many acts. So that's how I knew it really wasn't a battle of the bands. You know how, because you got to have a bunch of bands to have a battle. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And yeah, so we wound up winning it. We wound up winning the shit. So now we're gassed. We're like, what? We won fucking battle of the bands? Like, ba ba ba. These girls come up. They announce us. They announce the 2 runners up. Ba ba ba. The next thing you know, everybody's mingling. They're like, yeah, everybody mingle. Go get a drink at the bar. We had drink tickets. Go get a drink at the bar. We getting drinks. Everybody's mingling. Artists mingling. Next thing you know, these 2 girls nowhere to be found. Skipped off with the money.
Damn.
Out the door. Listen, dues paid. Dues paid. You got to chalk it up to dues paid. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I actually got a funny battle of the band story if I can tell it.
Oh, for sure, bro, for sure.
So we were on tour one time in the States. We were touring with this Buffalo MC named Mad Dukes, and we were playing Cleveland, and it was a dope tour. Everything was cool. But for some reason, we got to this Cleveland show, and we didn't know. Like, we were booked. We thought we were booked on a bill, like regular. But we come to find out that it was a battle of the bands that we were somehow involved with. And it wasn't like, so this is like a show in the middle of like a tour. And we're just
Right.
like, we show up and we're like, what?
Competition.
But we're like, But like right away, we're like, all right, because like Kills is a live NPC player. Mad Dukes was an incredible freestyler and dope MC, really dope live. And I got dope turntable skills. So we're like, okay, we're ready to battle. Like,
Right. So you
because
guys step in confident.
so we're in Cleveland and we're in this, and it was dope too because there was the main DJ for the night was Jack the Ripper, who's a super dope Midwest DJ. Shout out Jack. He like right away him and I connected on the DJ tip. So it was easy to get comfortable right away and be like, all right, there's somebody here who knows what's up, and yeah, man, we 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 destroyed that night. Like I don't think that they were, because like they just weren't ready for like live beats and like turntablism and like, you know what I mean, like that kind of like we have planned routines that we were able to work into like battling other bands, and like yeah, man, we walked away like in the night with the prize money, and like people were just kind of like shell shocked, like where did these dudes come from, like what the hell just happened.
Some city slickers rolling through.
Yeah, man, it was like it was dope because we showed up at the beginning of the night. And we were like, we don't know what is happening. And then yeah, we ended up winning and taking off, and it was like yeah, there was some wild acts. Like there was some dope groups, but then there was just some wild dude. Like some dudes showed up. This group showed up late, and they were 10 dudes dressed like the Undertaker. I'm not joking. They just like that was already over, and we were like getting in the tour van, and like this group showed up and was like, "Are we late?" And it was like 10 dudes dressed like the Undertaker.
Like, yeah, bro, the prize money's already gone, and it's walking out the door right now. So, good
But
Lord.
yeah, but it was just one of those situations where it was like, what like kind of like what is happening?
Let me ask you this, because I was wondering ever since I saw your name. We obviously know, but like, what is the inspiration for you for Uncle Fester?
Well, it's not the actual Uncle Fester. I mean,
Ah,
I've used sort of like the light bulb imagery since I've got the name, but like
right.
it's one of those things where it was like just around the time I started doing DJing and stuff like that, I hadn't picked a DJ name or anything. I hadn't been coming up with anything like um nothing was sticking, and I was at my homeboy was going to his friend's place, and we were over there, and for some reason me and his friend at the time like we bothered each other for some reason. And I was like annoying him for I don't even remember how I was bothering him. And he was like, and he called me Fester. And just because like I was like, that was something he thought of as a name to call me because I was bothering him. He's like, fucking Fester. And it just I laughed. We all laughed. We're laughing, and it became Fest. They just started calling me Fest, and that became my name. And like all my homeboys and everything just started calling me Fest, 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 Fest. So like it just became like real nicknames when you get given your nickname, right? Like
For sure.
so like that just became my nickname at the time when I was looking for a name. So I was just like, all right, that's what it is. That's what it is. It is what it is.
Oh man, yo, it's funny how yeah, we pick up those names, man. Like I'm Mugs on drugs. Now the on drugs shit came because I smoke a lot of weed or whatever the
Mhm.
case is. But the Mugs part came because I forgot my dad. It was really my dad. It was really my dad. As a kid, like my face just my face rests. I have a weirdly resting face. So when I'm just in deep thought, I look like I'm scowling. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So my dad was always like, "Oh, she fucking the mug on you. You fucking mug hanging about." You know what I'm saying? So it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that's where that came from. But yeah, it's just funny how people will give you
yeah.
nicknames as a jab, but it's like it was a jab. You know what I'm saying? Like you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? For sure.
Yeah. Yeah, man, me too. Like that's the thing. It's like you can't it's authentic, right? It's like that's a real thing that happened. That's like organically all my people call me that.
Right, right,
So
right.
like, you know what I mean? Like it's like I've had that name for so long that like um like people like people that just people that aren't hip hop sometimes just hear people calling me Fest, and like that's what they call me, Fest. Yo, what's up, Fest? You know what I mean? Like, so that's just been part of me for forever.
That shit is dope. I'm a big fan of the Adams Family anyway, and even if it's not connected, I'd like to play
Yeah,
on it. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah. It is cool. So like,
So yeah, you and Creasy have a song with Benny the Butcher.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. How did that feature come to fruition?
Benny, just when we were finishing up Supervillain, he was like, we were thinking about. I was talking to him about sort of like, hey, we should release one more single before the end of last year, just to like keep things some momentum going after we release Supervillain and keep our name out there, and because we're always working on stuff. And he said to me just offhand, he said, I have this track I did with Benny like 2 years ago. I wish, he's like, I don't like the beat. I wish you produced it. And I said, what? Say that again?
Right?
And he
One
said
more
it,
time?
And he said it to me, and I was like, send that. I was like, I was like, send that to me. I am going to produce that. And he sent me, he was like, yo, word? And I was like, yes. And he sent that over, and I had that back to him 2 hours at most. Because I just caught the inspiration and went in on it because, yeah. And then we just all of a sudden within one day, I went from not knowing that was a thing to like the track existing.
It's the beauty of hip hop, man.
Yeah. And, just spent the next couple of days refining it and stuff like that. So we've only really done a soft release of it. Like, it's on Bandcamp, and we sent it out to DJs and stuff like that, and sent it out to radio shows. But we got to we're working with Benny's team about officially releasing it on DSP and stuff. But we got to chill until he releases his, he's getting signed to Def Jam and stuff, and is releasing a new album this month. And, so we have to listen to what they want in terms of, they're not, they don't want that split. They don't want things out there that they don't approve of and stuff. So we got to we're just working with them on a release date. And so it's going to be in a couple months officially down the road. We're going to come out on DSP, but it's on my Bandcamp right now. And it's on a lot of underground hip hop radio shows and stuff like that. But yeah, it was just one of these things where Creasy knew Benny from the Buffalo, Niagara area. They got connections through the Black Soprano family and stuff like that. And they know each other from running in those circles, and they linked up, and did that track. And like I said, Creasy was never happy with it. And then I turned that around, and away we went.
That is fire.
Well, man, that's, that's getting managers and lawyers and stuff involved to figure that out. Cause Benny's at such a big level, right? And that's why it happened, because he's at such a big level, right? You can't just upload something and with Benny the Butcher attached to it and put in his credits and have that not be flagged and stopped, right? You gotta there's checks, you gotta get by, he did the verse for Creasy, but we're at a point, he's at a point in his career now where, he's signed to a label and stuff. So they gotta sign off on everything. So basically, I've been lucky to have been around long enough. I know people in the music industry, and I know someone around here who's a really good music lawyer and publicist and music manager. And I hit up my boy and just said, hey man, we have to somehow, because Creasy knows Benny, but Benny doesn't check his DMs. He's not going to be Creasy can't DM Benny and have him get back to, you know what I mean?
Right.
He's huge right now. So we got to get at him through the official channel. So we just basically, for that process, you got to get people, and you got to get at their people. And it's, it's just one of those things where you got to be patient, and you got to let those talks happen. And cause our guy talks to their guy, and then their guy talks to Benny, and then, to make sure that everything is, do you know Creasy? Yes. Did this happen? Yes. Just figuring out all the things, and okay, well, here are the things that they're concerned about, right? He's got an album coming out, and he's got this coming out and this coming out. And, if they're going to get behind it and it's going to be official and they're going to approve it beyond sort of an underground sort of thing, then we got to sort of follow their timeline and do that sort of a thing. So, which to us, that makes total sense. I don't feel any kind of way about that at all, except for let's go, let's do that. You know what I mean? So if we have to wait till DSP later in the year, then we're going to probably get another track on the go, and maybe do a little 10-inch with 2 tracks up on it, put some physicals out too with it. And, just do it up proper, give it a proper life.
Sure. Nah, that's dope, bro. And shout out to Benny the Butcher. You already know, but listen, we're going to drop this track, Creasy and Uncle Fester featuring Benny the Butcher. Who's Who?
Benny, what up? Beats up.
It's the truth. It's like that. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer. So make that bad. Mike backstab. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer.
I know I'm the street's favorite, but they won't admit I got what it takes to make it in. All my life been on some crazy shit I used to wanna hit. Mom hired to babysit. Put it in the bath, let the baby sit. Niggas been doing this since 86. Better watch you maneuver with. I ain't dumb, I know the feds make Uber bitch. If better watch it when you Google shit. I bing him, that Mac Ringer be do a flip. That OG getting packaged up. For that bread, he won't make it back over the jack with her. Niggas set me up like Lobo twice. I'm the real thing, you nigga prototype. In the terms they talking is layman. I'm ghosting, again these Canaan.
Keep your friends close and your enemies closer. So make that bad, one mic backstab. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer. So make that bad, one mic backstab. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer.
Anywhere I go, it's a clip by me. You can show love, I don't need you to drive me. Show haters the numbers I do, they get sick probably. You know my type, bad little bitch, and this shit big body. You can next hottie, I been had the shotty. Since green tied to roundy, we been clicked since he found me. I'm getting chips, you wanna take a trip to Hawaii. Me, I wanna stay low and take a trip to see Dowie. We're broken block down in the kitchen with scientists. Been at the same bitches, how we applying it. Shout out all the say out, walking in the shit that inspired us. Brought the trap back to life, I did the Heimlich. Got a phone that'll bring your plug, got a retirement. Cut a brick open and I gotta see diamonds. It's crazy when your enemies wanna be cool. Either them folks or in yours cause of these Jews. Let's go.
Keep your friends close and your enemies closer. So make that bad, one mic backstab. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer. So make that bad, one mic backstab. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer.
Woo! Let's go.
Yo, respect.
Fire, bro. Fire. Where'd you come up with that sample from? Like, what's that sample from?
Well, I'm not gonna sample snitch myself.
No, don't. You know, of course not.
But I will say that like I'm big on like old what they call library records. It's something I learned about when I was digging, and they're like basically old records that like TV stations and radio stations used to have for like commercial music and jingle music and like to play as interludes and theme music and when you hear these records, you're like, you know, like you hear some of these things on like movies in the 70s and the 80s, and they're like, it's basically tons and tons of non-commercial music, but some of the music on these albums is like incredible, like breaks and crazy samples, and but yeah, like that there is like a that little twinkly synth thing that's, you know, like I chopped that off of one of those old library record and got that sort of like going over the break, and then I just sort of like found the, you know, made the bass line, sort of accompanied it with some other like, you know, pads and synths, and then got the vocal, found a vocal that sounded super hot over it, you know, so just sort of built it off that one sample in the beginning.
Can you talk about like how digging becomes a ritual? Because I know it's very important, and I'm not a producer, but all my producer friends, people I talk to, they tell me that, you know, ones who do go out and find, you know, records and go to these places, and, you know, places like that have library records, you call them?
Yeah, those are really hard to find because you can't find those in stores, right? So like I had to come up on those in other ways over the years.
Right. Different tactics.
Yeah.
But yeah, just speak to me about like how it became a ritual for you, you know?
You know, man, I just became obsessed with it, man, because like there's just that feeling that you get like when you come back with something hot and you create something hot with a sample, you know, or like, so you just get so used to it, and then you start to develop like these instincts for it, like what eras album, what things sound like in certain eras, what producers are what labels have this. Even like if you even get like wacky like superstitions, like I never turned down a record with a pyramid on it. If there's a pyramid on the album, like I've always found something hot on it, always. So like just like you develop weird rules like that, you know, like, and things like that. So like, and yeah, you just like, and I was lucky enough to have said to, you know, like to have toured around for a couple years. So like I've gotten to dig all over North America.
Right,
So
and some places that a lot of people don't get a chance to. That's dope.
So so it just when I've just been lucky to have enough experience doing it that like I've had so many good experiences and some big, to one point when the Extremities were touring in the States, we had an intern driving the tour van, and we would like if we were close enough to where our tour booker lived in Buffalo, and if we were in the Midwest somewhere close enough to Buffalo, we would dig and we would put records in the van and we would send the intern back to Buffalo with the records
Mm,
and then come back. So
right.
we could like so like we were like we're serious diggers, right? And then we would just like ship them to Toronto or back to Canada from Buffalo. So like, like we were serious enough to be doing stuff like that, right? So like um for us it was always an obsession like looking up the record stores and even still to this day for me like I got family in New Mexico, so when me and my wife go visit family and stuff like that, like I'm always trying to find new spots down there and like always have an eye out for it, man. It never leaves you, I feel like.
So let me ask you this. Every time you go digging, do you feel like you find a gem every time, or do you feel like there's sessions where it's just like there's duds? Or maybe it's just, something that you're not gonna use.
Yeah, I mean, you're always going to get duds. That happens.
Right.
But like over time, like I said, like it gets less and less over time. You got to take chances and learn lessons and figure out what's what.
For sure.
That's first, but like it gets less and less, but that still happens. But honestly, it's more like almost all the records I get now when I pick them up have something I can use on them.
That's dope. Because your
You know what I
ear
mean?
your ear is so particular now that you can find something in anything that you grab pretty much.
Yeah, like like it's an album that I can like enjoy to listen to, or and maybe grab like a snare sound and like a bass sound, or like it's got a couple dope loops or chops on it, or it's got a bunch of dope drums. Anything from the smallest little thing to the biggest thing. I do generally. It does generally land in there, but every once in a while, man, you get something and you listen to it and you're like, "Yo, what is this trash? What did I do? What did I do?"
The morning after, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, but it gets less and less over time, like the better you get at it.
Right. I want to know about the duo, the group that you were in, and just like um just talk about taking it from inception to where you had it, where you guys were touring around the country and um and in Canada.
Yeah, man. Well, we started off like, we met in Halifax. He had moved, my boy Kills had moved out here from Toronto when he was 20, and we met and we became like quick homies. And he was just starting to produce, and he was like already engineering. Like he started like recording and stuff like that when he was like a teenager. So when I got the engineering influence from him, and he kind of like, and I was he was into all music, but I was like the hip hop head. So when we linked and started doing stuff, I was such a big influence on hip hop to him to sort of like further his knowledge of it and like excitement of it. And and it was also like one of those things. So we started to link up and just started to make beats together and do the DJ, like produce together and have the DJ live producer element. And we were just basically working with other artists for a couple of years, and building our name as like people to record with and make, get beats from. And then we basically just built up our name locally and then sort of regionally, and then we just started basically just grind it out. We tour around close to our city, then we tour further, then we get our to Montreal and Toronto and tour all the way there. Then we started touring across the country, and then we got bigger and bigger and started like like we'd be on the charts in Canada. Our albums would like start making the hip hop charts here, and like then we'd make some connections in the States, and we started touring the States and sort of grinded in a similar fashion down there. You know what I mean? So it was just basically networking and grinding it out on the indie level and building over time.
Right, for sure. Now, can you describe to me, because a lot of artists, let's face it, a lot of artists either don't take it serious enough or they don't know the steps to take to
Yep.
to get everything collectively, because to move like that you have to be making collective steps. All of your
Yeah.
steps have to be calculated, and so it's like, can you explain to me the feeling that you get when, after making all of these steps and not really missing a stride, you start to see things work after such a long time?
Well, that's the thing, man, is that like artists need to understand that like so many talented people never make it anywhere. You know, it's really just about that perseverance, right? And you have to take it one step at a time. Like our first touring opportunity to get out of the area we were in and to go further within Canada came through a homie of ours who was a graffiti artist, super well known graffiti artist at the time, and he was doing music too. Wasn't really known for his music, but was known for his art. And we got hooked up at a a hip hop graffiti music festival in another part of the country through him. Built a couple shows off the back of his reputation, and then basically like you just basically need to build on that, right? If you're an indie artist, you got to like connect with the promoters, connect with the other artists. And we just built slowly over the years, connecting with these other local acts that were like us, that were like people that we became friends with and were artists on the same level that we were with on too. Like, there's people that are in my crew now that are part of my longtime musical family. That's how we met them. We did these tours and meet these promoters, and you do a good job, and you're good to the promoter, and you work with them, and you talk to everyone who's in the audience. You do all that legwork as an indie artist. After a couple of years, that pays off.
For sure.
So like we grinded the hard way, and we got those promoters' names, and we could start booking for ourselves.
That's dope, man. And you know what? Yeah, like it's just yeah, man. As an artist, and as an artist who's always trying to get better and do more and try to figure out what my best step is, it means a lot to hear from somebody like you, because it's like, listen, man, you've done it. You've done it. You've toured the country, and that means a lot, bro. It's not easy, man. It's not easy. I think that's another thing that people see. If you're not in it for the love of it, then then your perception might be that this is something easy,
Yep.
but you have to want it. You gotta want it, man. More than anything,
That's the truth.
Can you speak about like just the drive and just being, shit, for lack of a better word, man, starving artist like we all are? Like, what keeps one foot in front of the other for you?
I'm still a massive fan.
Right.
Still a massive fan of the music, man. It still makes me it still excites me to hear new hip hop.
For sure.
It's still like and also my peers too, like I'm lucky that I have peers that like push me to be better, and like I hear their stuff and I'm like, "Oh my god, that's incredible." Like so like that's what really keeps me going, is just that, like, that feeling of wanting to contribute to the culture still, the wanting to be, and like hip hop has a competitive element to it, It has this like friendly or sometimes not so friendly element, but it pushes everyone to be better. And I think that's always been in me. And like, I don't, I want to compare myself. I want to push myself and compare myself to people like Alchemist. You know what I mean? Like, I want to measure myself to the best. Like I still have that drive even at this point to like continue to get better because I love it so much, man.
Right. No, I hear you. And you know what? To just a quick, I believe that you have your own sound, like I told you when we first started this episode. You have your own sound, but you're in that ballpark, bro. You're
Well,
in that ballpark of Alchemist, and I hear like a little bit of Harry Fraud in some of these. Like, yo,
mhm.
you're there. You know what I'm saying? No doubt. So
Well, I
yeah,
appreciate that, man. I appreciate
nah,
that a lot.
for sure, bro. I got another track, and this track actually has a bunch of people on it.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
DK Intuition.
Yeah.
That's the name of the track.
Man. This is my boy DK. This is dope because I love this beat and I love all these MCs, and I wanted to shout out DK too. He's a producer, just lives up the street from me, but he may be known to some of your listeners. He just released an album called Atlantic Rap Volume One, which features like some people on this track like UFO Fev, Mike Picasso, Waspy, Ada, also like people like Eddie Kane are on the record, and Chewy, and plus some of the best Canadian MCs. There's a lot of dope rappers on there, underground cats that people would know. And DK's my guy, man, and he got me. He's one of my dudes who I work with, and he works in my studio sometimes. And he's also a dope producer and engineer in his own right. And one of my dudes that when he came into the scene, he came to me. And came to me for advice at first, and became one of my good friends and one of my close homies, and now we're collaborators. And he's getting a couple remixes done for his album, and he blessed me with the first remix out the gate. I know that Ski Beats also has a remix coming, an official remix for his album, and there's another big name producer that he's friends with is coming too with an official remix from his album. So people need to keep. I can't drop that because he hasn't dropped that yet. But yeah, man, he blessed me with the ability to remix this track, and I was so excited because all the MCs on it are super dope, and I got to sort of like bring my own flavor to this track.
Sure, listen, we're gonna drop it right now. DK, Intuition. It got a slew of dope artists on it. Gray Area. Let's go.
I'm not the type of person that gives up and plays victim. I might be in my feelings in private, but I evict them. I always find the lesson, apply it. Soon as the test come, I was a bright student, it's obvious, cause the rest up. I'm Scrooge with my time now. Energy is currency, and currently I'm as stingy as the fucking White House, attuned to the divine now. I purposely disturb his sleep and drop the jewels to leave a blueprint for this lifestyle. Don't come slacking, I ain't no has-been. I really am the future, you just used to, like the past tense. I don't smoke hookah, I'm too bougie for a damn trend. Just give me my weed, a good movie, and my damn friends. I don't like the phony shit. I know we all on different paths and I respect that, but I don't endorse the pony tricks. Rather be alone and align myself like a solar eclipse. Know the mind is all, so my thoughts are basically O's to flip.
Intuition is fair, even when my vision is fair, yeah.
My mental's a bullet, my tongue's the finger that pulls it.
Intuition is fair, even when my vision is fair, yeah.
Right, my mental's a bullet, my tongue's the finger that pulls it. Check the method.
Time costs more than the rollie. Check how I spent mine. A wise man told me you save the money and spend time. I can't afford a minute. Homies in the mountains doing double digits, running out of time and can't do nothing with it. My head flowing, say I'm looking like the Holy Spirit. Right now I be flowing with the greats and I ain't nowhere near it. I vibrate and just continue to dispose of lyrics. These MCs have been exposed and they all can hear it. The highest quality, burn a verse like a calorie. It's like hitting the lottery. Way these players be mad at me. I defy gravity, pimping through the galaxy. The best MC, none on this planet could challenge me. Avoid the conflict, cause we all on that calm shit. The big UFO, keeping rappers by my armpit. Sun them out, spin the block with them while the sun is out. Write a hot album and tour, we on the money route.
Intuition is fair,
Right.
even when my vision is fair, yeah.
My mental's a bullet, my tongue's the finger that pulls it.
Intuition is fair, even when my vision is fair, yeah. Wise man.
Yeah. I twist niggas on this type of time. You live a life of rhymes? Homie, I live a life of crime. This life of mine is like eating brine. Fuck your stomach up. I use that analogy, cause I'm coming up. Regurgitate, perforate, penetrating your bacon. Put you on vacation, permanent. Put your body where the vermin swim. Who the fuck is Wise P? Y'all still learning him? Ain't no bitches curving him. I get my turban in terrorist flow. It's Yaris the dough. Horse and carriage married to blow. Dedicated to coke, premeditated to dope. Blue pills, my life real. Even sell you a hoe. Ain't no malice, I don't feel envy. Violate, I push your shit back. Have you looking like Sherman Hemsley, George Jefferson. Get the weapons in, then I'm stretching them until the coroner collecting them. Respect the win.
Took a second to think, a minute get essayed. Time is everything, so I kick it 10 out of decade. Marking epics out of my best days. NWA like I'm O'Shea, but where the Mets played. Tick tock, tick bombing, my clock's atomic. AI on our tails, I'm running robotic, sonic, chopping chronic. Twist big L's, then drop ebonics, Nostradamus. Centuries in my book, gave props and homage. Lots of diamonds I done dug out on a beat when it's bumping. Tuning the frequencies, look like I'm speaking to nothing. Look at the father, my mother think of sleeping his cousin. Peace and repercussions, beefing turn the cheek, now they snuffing. In the wrong place, the right times when you own it. At times in life, could feel a lifetime in a moment. Moment of a lifetime, when we rhyme and we zone it. Out of my mind, be going out my mind to control it. But my
Intuition is fair, even when my vision is fair, yeah.
My mental's a bullet, my tongue's the finger that pulls it.
Intuition is fair, even when my vision is fair, yeah.
My mental's a bullet, my tongue's the finger that pulls it.
Intuition is fair, even when my vision is fair, yeah.
My mental's a bullet, my tongue's the finger that pulls it. Check the method.
Unlike them, we crap gems.
Woo! That's a big record right there.
Yeah, man. Funny thing about that track is the original version on DK's album. He when DK did that track, he sent it over to me to do the cuts for the chorus on his album. So I did the cuts on that, and then we sent it. He sent a version of it to Wise P to hear, And when Wise P was listening to it, he was in the studio with Rozkaz, and Rozkaz heard me cut his voice from his old track on the chorus. You know, my mental's a bullet, my tongue's a trigger, the pull it, that line. Like, I cut that off his first album, and he was in the studio with Wasp when Wasp listened to the track and was like, "Yo, let me get in the booth and do the line on the chorus." So that's how Rozkaz got on the track, is because I had cut it as part of the cut chorus, and he thought it was super dope and wanted to get in and put his voice on it, like actually.
Fire.
So like, you know, to me that was so dope to like just have another dope hip hop artist just hear a track and be like, "Yo, I want to be a part of that." You know, like that's to me. I said earlier, you know, when I'm hungry to contribute to the culture and stuff like that. Those are the moments where you know you're on the right track, right? Because you're part of something that like attracts the people that you look up to.
Guru, he's big on the universe working for him, and the universe
That's
working
a fact.
for
It works
people.
for all of us. It works for us all. That's a fact.
So I feel like that speaks to what you're saying. Like, you know, you put it out, it'll come back tenfold if the energy's right.
And he's doing it for the right reasons, right? He's not doing it to be fake about it. He really loved it. Right.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
You know, real quick before we wrap up, we talk about cymatics and you know, the way that sound affects water, or how vibration affects water, and how, I don't know if you believe in sacred geometry, about how, you know, the way the vibration affects it, we can watch it, and if you watch it on this specific, you know, like they have these high-tech lenses or whatever, but you watch it, it all vibrates in certain geometric designs. You know what I'm saying? So it really breaks it down to a cellular level. So when you're vibrating at a cellular level with a certain frequency of energy for a long enough time, the universe is going to respond to that for sure.
Yeah, man. That is totally something I believe that, man, because that's physics. That's
right.
Like, you know what I mean? And like, you know, like it's been proven there's something to that, right? And like we are going to vibrate, like, as beings, man. Like that's just gonna happen. That's just proven to happen. So like, you know, to think that stuff doesn't affect you in ways that you don't understand is like, to me, that's too naive to think that, you know what I mean? Like to think
For sure.
that doesn't. I mean, music. Look at the connection music has with society and culture. Like, it's the proof is in the pudding. You know what I mean? That shit does vibrate with people. That's just like, to me, that's a fact. So
real talk.
Right, no, it's undisputable. You know, but listen, we're gonna wrap it up. Yo, Uncle Fester, man, I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate you for a bunch of different reasons, but I appreciate you, number one, for stepping out on a Sunday and coming to check us and coming to tap in with us. You know, I know you're a busy man. We doing different things too. So listen, we appreciate you, man, for taking the time, and I really enjoyed this conversation. Any last things you want to say to, you know, any people, any shout outs, anything for us to look out for? I know you got a lot on the horizon.
yeah, man. Just, you know, I just want to say in general that, like, I just thank you for letting me be on here. It's really appreciate it. Really great conversation, really fun, man. I've been appreciate coming on here and connecting and being able to speak to some people that may not know who I am. I don't take that for granted. So
For sure.
just big, you know, big props to you guys. But yeah, man, you know, like, people should just check me out if they want to hear more. Fester902 on Instagram. That's like the spot you'll find me most on social. And, you know, like, just, you can follow my links there, find my webpage or my Bandcamp. I post almost all my stuff there. You know, you can see I got a pretty big discography. If people are unfamiliar, I think that, like, if they like what I do, there'd be a lot there for them to check. You know, a lot of the albums I have up there for free or cheap digitally. You know what I mean? So like, people should go check that out, and or just, you know, search my name on DSP or whatever, Uncle Fester. You'll find the stuff I've been doing over the years, and yeah, man, I just hope people just check it out and give it a chance. You know, I got a lot of stuff going on, and just, you know, I think just in general, I just encourage people who, you know, to check, you know, beyond wherever you're listening from, beyond the borders of where you're at. You know what I mean? The hip hop is so dope everywhere right now. You know, I heard some clown the other day talking about how rap wasn't good right now, and I just, like, couldn't believe how, like, and this was coming from someone that should have known better, and I was just, to me, rap has never been better, to be honest. Like, there's so much good stuff out there, but it's just harder to find. You got to look, There's not like,
Right.
so
Well, you
just,
know
like,
what, real quick, brother, to say real quick, it's like there's so much opportunity and so much space to find so many things. You
yep,
might feel like that because the main thing getting pushed to you is bad. But it's like, well, you might have to put some more effort in, right? It's
yep,
like there's so many ways to go. Just find the thing for you. So we're in a special place, but we got people like you, we got people like us that are gonna keep pushing the dopest thing they can make. You know?
yep. Absolutely, man. 100%, bro. That's facts. So, yeah, man, I just encourage people to, to check it out. Check out the people who I work with and come check out my stuff and just give it a chance. And I appreciate y'all.
Yo, for sure. Listen,
Salute.
I say it at the end of every show. Go support the real. You understand me? The notion, now some people might disagree with me, but the notion that an artist, a producer, a DJ has to take the time out of their already personal life, work, family, whatever, and do something they love. Blood, sweat, tears, money, hours spent, sacrifices, holidays missed, birthdays missed, to present an offering to you, and you expect it for free?
Yeah, man.
You expect it for free? Because of the way the internet has you trained the last 15 years? Listen, support the real, go pay for it. All right? It means something. It means something. This shit right here is timeless. You understand me? 100 years from now, we're all gonna be in the fucking grave. They're gonna still be listening to this shit. It's timeless. Support the real. You know what I'm saying? This is the gray area. Shout out to Uncle Fester. We appreciate you. Shout out Jerry for hooking this up. I see you, my G. You already know what it is. And listen, Uncle Fester, yo, bro, we gotta work.
Let's do it.
ROT has to work with you. We gonna talk about
That's a
that
big
off of
fact.
here. We gotta work with you, bro. I'm gonna hit you up in the DM about how we're gonna promote this and stuff like that. Certain regions we're gonna promote, what the best region you think is to promote it. We'll talk more about that. But listen, man, we appreciate you, brother.
Yo,
Real
man,
talk.
likewise. Appreciate y'all too, man. Hit me up. I would love to have these conversations and connect into the future.
All right, you already know. Bless, brother. It's the gray
Let's
area.
go.
Let's go.
All right, blessed, boys. One.